Geology, geology, geology. Welcome to mini geology program where we put a connection geology and society at large. And today we have the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, one of the largest association of geologists in the world, founded in 1917. So with us, the president, Mike Party, is joining us from Midland in Texas. We are in Houston, and so just on the other side of the state. How do you feel? How's it going, Mike?
Well, it's going good, all things considered. The virus is kind of problematic and got people down a little bit, but outside of that, healthy and doing good.
And talking about the virus, how is the geological community that you are leading, how is reacting to the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, what we're seeing happening there in the geological community, we have a lot of workshops and conventions and conferences, as you know, that have been canceled. We had a conference scheduled in the Middle East, Geo 2020, that was what happened in March. It's been delayed till the fall. The AAPG ACE convention was scheduled for the 1st of June, and we postponed it. We're still working on dates to get that squared away. The Offshore Technology Conference scheduled for June in Houston has also been canceled for the year. So we're seeing a lot of cancellations, but the geological community is stepping up, and we're doing a lot of webinars. I was just on one today. The bad part of the virus is it's also hit at a time when we had an oversupply of oil, so it's plunged the oil industry into a pretty stressed time with prices going way down, and we saw some paper barrels trade the other day for negative numbers, but it'll all come back, and at some point we'll get through it all, and we'll be all back out walking around and get life back to somewhat normalcy.
Are you worried?
About the industry, about the virus?
About the members that you represent.
I am worried about the members I represent. I'm really worried about a lot of the younger members. The problem is as we transition, we have things. I went through the 80s downturn, and in that time, we weren't dealing with a global recession. And we're going to see unemployment numbers between 15 to 20%. And we have a lot of young people coming out of universities and colleges that worked real hard to get to the point where they're ready to graduate, thinking about moving on to a job and everything like that. It's going to be a tough market.
Do you think that 15, 20% of the general population, or
yes,
specifically of petroleum geologists or geologists at large?
No, the overall U.S. population.
What do you think about geologists? Are they going to be hit heavier?
They'll probably be hit heavier just because we have two things going on with the downturn in prices and stuff. We're going to have to work through the storage issue. We have a lot of oil in storage. So my heart really goes out to the young people that you're coming out, you're wanting to start your life, and you got a lot of plans and just ready to get after it in your life. And then you're getting hit with both sides of this to where, the oil industry's down, the economy's down, and we're having to be locked in. So we're being locked in. But that's what AAPG is trying to do, is put content out there so people can go and in these times we're locked in our houses, we can do virtual classrooms and stuff like that and go out to the web and keep learning. And so expand our minds and keep our minds occupied. And I always say, don't worry about the things you can't change. Worry about the things you can do. So there's nothing we can do about the coronavirus. We got to work through it. We got to do what people are telling us to do to stay safe. But on the other side of that, while we're spending time in our houses and stuff and in lockdowns, we can be reading books, going online and finding videos about geology and looking at geology of a national park, looking at geology of another basin, reading about the Macaberta down in Argentina and development. So we can be expanding our minds and learning and keeping ourselves occupied and doing something very constructive.
Mike, you just mentioned a motto, but I have here another of your mottos. That is, if it is going to be, it's going to be up to me.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. That's one I say. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And that's one of the things that I think is kind of a little saying I've lived with most of my life. And basically it comes back from growing up. I grew up on a pig farm. I mean, I came from an area, my mom and dad were factory workers, and they could barely afford to send me to college. And so you always have to take the initiative in your life. You can't depend on somebody else to do it. It's important to you, and if it's going to be, it's up to me, and you got to take a hold of it and make it happen.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in central Missouri. I grew up in a very small farming town. I actually graduated high school with 42 kids, and most of us went to school our whole lives together. And like I said, I grew up on a small farm. My dad raised pigs, and both of them were factory workers. And I graduated from University of Missouri Rolla, now the Missouri Science and Technology. I graduated there in '78, and I got a paying job of about $17,000 a year, my first job, and that was more, almost twice what my parents made together.